Hello everyone and welcome back to Elias World of Wonder. So in the last video we discussed about 5 human skills that I consider not to be replaced by AI in any near term future. Of course nobody nobody knows in this state of the world what's going to happen. But today the point is to go step forward towards my actual professional interests. But before I go there, I just want to highlight to any one of you who clicked open this video and think that, oh, this guy went serious so fast. I don't know, do I want to watch this? I'm just saying that this channel is Elias World of Wonder for a reason, because I'm gonna upload videos of wide range of topics that I'm into. So ranging from creativity, like I like to make music, for example, to sports, to health, to science, to technology. So here we just I decide to take a step towards my professional interest. So basically, the topic of today is how you can choose the right data slash AI approach depending on the context of the problem you are dealing with. And to eat my own pills and start with the topic of the day is that my context is nearly a decade of working in the software and technology industry, paired up with experience in sustainability sphere for the last couple of years, and I'm extremely passionate about brewing like technology aspects and sustainability aspects together, because I think there are best practices to learn from both of the worlds, but I don't see a middle ground for them. And that's why DIGICISU was born. So it refers to data to insights and grow to impact, where the Digi comes from, and SISU comes from circular economy and sustainability. So I argue that by transforming data to insights and growth to impact, companies can reach circular and sustainable resilience. And yeah, sounds like a mouthful, right? Like a buzzword, but I'll make another video. It's not the topic of this video, to tell like what I mean with improving resilience or agility or whatsoever. Uh, so DIGICISU framework is my conclusion based on my experience and also forthcoming work on my master's thesis on information management. So I started my studies on information management last fall. I'm super excited about it, but there has always been a red line for data-driven decision making. Like the first education startup that I founded was dealing with like AI-based tutoring systems, where we aim to help teachers with their like routine-based knowledge work with AI. But let's not go there further. The topic of today: how to choose the right data approach depending on the context. And to go to the topic of the day, we are going to discuss about sense-making framework called Cynefin. So yeah, let's stop here and discuss a bit like why, first of all, Cynefin. Well, I mean, the point of Cynefin is that I see it being fundamentally powerful because it's not only about setting the right direction to solve a problem, but it also you helps you to pair like your objectives with the right like metrics, and also like the right approach to actions and right approach to solve the actual problem. So, and this is determined by understanding in which of the domains of decision making you belong to. I will break this down and how I would see applying data slash AI approaches on each, but I'll just say on a high level I go them through. So simple and obvious and complicated categories means that you can use analytical data analysis or problem solving approach, where you can simply you can analyze, for example, historical data. Then you, in simple scenarios, already categorizing is enough. In complicated, like analyzing a bit more, is enough to get determined on how to improve on the situation or how to optimize on it. So I will go, like I said, I will go each one of these through and tell you like which data or AI approaches you can apply in each. But now I just go through fast. And then when we move from complicated to a complex domain, as well as chaotic, then our approach to set targets and approach a problem moves to a more experimental type. And you can find so many references to it. We talk about agile development, iterative development, and which basically refers to like that we first probe and sense before we take actions. Or okay, in total chaos we want to act first to stabilize the situation, and then think of the then respond and think of the next steps. But anyways, like here are just some of the benefits I argue of using this model for decision making and choosing your data or AI approach is that you can identify innovations and strategies to exploit them faster. Basically, you can anticipate disruptions and risks because especially on the experimental side of things, it's about anticipating future events or forecasting, predictive analytics. So basically, I argue that utilizing this framework can help you to integrate like more sustainable and resilient components to your strategy. So you're basically more future proof. And then you can also identify and solve resource and process efficiencies faster because you basically you know what data to focus on, and you can choose the approach for the data or AI approach faster. And also, like I said, the fundamental power of this model, how I see it, is comes from the wide applicability of it. So it's not only about data driven decision making and technology sector, but I also just see it like having everyday applications wherever you have to sense a situation and you have to understand like what are the right steps to go forward. So it's fundamentally sense making on the nature of the problem. And by the way, just a short nicky picky mention here. Many people talk about analysis and analytics as they would be synonyms, but this is not true. Like analysis refers to, like I said, when we are in simple and complicated domains, we can rely on the historical data and then like forecast future trends based on that. So that's called an analysis. But when we want to build capabilities to forecast future events and measure them and track them, like then we talk about analytics. And this is and just saying in between, if there is like some AI PhDs and data scientists, I'm not saying that it's this black and white. Like of course, you can use supervised and unsupervised machine and deep learning, mixed, and I think they are at their best when they are mixed. But the thing is just that I'm just trying to sense make on this for people easier to understand. But I argue and I understand and I know that especially in the AI applications, if you think about ChatGPT, it's a combination of many approaches. So it's not like, but on the other hand, when we talk about practical applications, we often have a problem with certain characteristics and features, and we want to find a solution for that. And then I would argue like choosing a specific approach, and that's why we are talking about that here. So yeah, next I will go breaking down each of these domains and what both quantitative and qualitative methods I could see applying in like data analysis and AI context. So well yeah, when we are in the simple domain, basically the main takeaway here is that cause and effect relations, they are clear and well understood. This is definitely a domain of best practices. And an example of applying machine learning in the simple domain is like that you use linear regression to predict the price of a house based on its size and location, for example. And here I've colored the quantitative methods in the light blue, and then the yellowish orange, the qualitative methods. So in simple and obvious scenarios, you can use like descriptive statistics like mean, median, mode, calculating coefficients, f and p value, correlation analysis, linear regression, decision tree analysis. And like basically you want to identify, for example, in production line, you want to like identify the root cause of a production line breakdown using machine logs and maintenance records. Or you want to analyze customer feedback to determine like the most common issues with the product, or analyzing, you compare sales data from different regions to identify like which marketing strategies are the most effective. So it's a very, we talk about deterministic everyday business and organizational problems in dealing with these. And then when we move to complicated domain, well, things get a bit more complicated, but not that much. Like, let's put it this way, that cause and effect relations, they are not anymore like clear, like fully intuitive, and they require some expert domain knowledge on that topic to be understood. An example of how you could apply like machine learning, for example, here is like, using support vector machines, so you can like classify some email or some other entity as spam or not, based on their content. But that's just the one example you could use, because we are now talking about multiple variables dealing with the situation. You can use cluster analysis to cluster these features of a data set. You can use factor analysis to determine the most impactful factors related on the situation. Multidimensional scaling, or scaling down the dimensions. And on the qualitative side of things, you can use grounded theory, action research methods in general, are good to figure out this sort of situation. Delphi method, this sort of method of an futures research, where you have a board of experts who give a opinion on the topic, and that sort of way to understand the status quo and how to go forward. But yeah, complicated domain is still quite easy to deal with, and we basically still can identify and analyze like interaction, like we have different multiple variables, how and we can understand, for example, in project management, like how these different variables contribute to like projects getting delayed, or we want to evaluate effectiveness of different marketing campaigns by analyzing the impact on sales data, or we want to identify, let's say, most common cause of IT system failures and determining a solution for those. Let's say, yeah, since I mentioned about this being applicable also for like process inefficiencies, let's say you want to analyze like supply chain data, and you want to identify bottlenecks and inefficiencies in this. So yeah, like I said, we've been in the analytical domain, so on the blue domain of choosing the right data or AI approach. And mostly, like I said before, even though not being this black and white, but in general, we deal with like supervised machine or deep learning, or just like basic data analytics methods like descriptive analytics, for example. But things get a bit trickier when we move on the experimental side of things. Let's put it this way, that the whole nature of how to approach a problem, like its basic fundamentals change. So in the complex domain, like we cannot say anymore that the okay, cause and effect, they are not clear. They are not clear, and it requires experimentation to understand like emergent phenomena and behaviors. So basically, we could apply deep learning already at this and the complex domain, let's say using convolutional neural networks, or CNNs, so we would classify, let's say, images or certain features of an image of different animal species, or let's say we want to use image recognition to identify an anomaly in a situation that we cannot understand, or whatsoever. So there is wide range of of methods we could use here in the machine and deep learning domain. So network analysis, agent-based modeling, you know, dealing with random forests, k-means clustering, text analysis, And in general, I think here we come to a topic that Dave Snowden talks about in applying Cynefin, specifically like when we want to understand like complex and adaptive systems and model them. And I think in this domain is the real power of Cynefin, and where it can really help. But at the same time, we shouldn't forget, especially when we deal with organizations, and that they consist of social structures, technological structures, and whatsoever, and their interactions and interdependencies. We should never forget qualitative data, of course, depending on the context, what we want to get done, what we want to optimize. But we shouldn't forget like cultural analysis of the company, nethnography, actor network theory, or systemic functional linguistics. So let's not ever forget like the human interpretation of side of things when making sense, even though we talk about the data or AI approaches here. But also qualitative data is data, so it's not only about ones and zeros. So, well, yeah, I still wanted to maybe give a couple examples like on complex problems. We want to like identify patterns like in customer behavior that may indicate changing preferences or needs, like recommendation algorithms on some social media platform, I guess. We want to analyze data from connected devices, let's say, with real-time data processing, not batch processing. That we want to identify data patterns that how the system is being used. And of course, very famous, which, well, let's put it this way, that with the financial markets, I would say that it's total domain of chaos and disorder. I would take any advice from financial advisors with a heavy pinch of salt right now. But let's put it this way, that of course, analyzing data from financial markets, it's in the complex domain, uh, that may indicate changes in the market trends. Or as a last example, since I'm an environmental guy, so let's say we have environmental sensors, let's say in production sites, that we want to identify patterns and trends that may provide insight to environmental changes, or how weather could affect our factories or businesses, or whatsoever. So yeah, and then next one is a bit joker. So yeah, putting all together, let's put it this way, that in chaotic domain, as you might guess, we don't have clear understanding of what is cause and effect, and the situation is highly volatile, like how you determine parameters, and whatsoever. The context might change all the time. So it's basically applying at least any sort of basic, how would I say, basic data science or analysis may not be practical. But in full disorder, like I just said, some of the following, like let's say, I mean, if you are in full disorder, that you don't understand, because of course at this point I have to say that the line between full chaos and full disorder is very, very gray. But I guess like when you are in when when you are in full disorder, you just want to explore the situation, like whether it's qualitative or quantitative. I'm not determining on that, because it depends on the context. You just want to get snapshot of the situation. You could use KPI dashboards, you could use real time type of data analytics, of just to get like the analysis of the status quo you are in, or just data cleaning and making sense of the data, uh, aggregating data, or summarizing it into a format that it's easily to be analyzed or turned out to a visualization or dashboard. So yeah, and in chaos or disorder, I mean, you just like I would argue, like in the start of a project, you normally, or if you go to a new company as a consultant or expert, you want to kind of like get the big picture of what's happening. So you might, you want to do document analysis, you want to do like focus group interviews, surveys, and in general, like observe and collect data to make sense of on in which of the domains the company could be, because we have to also remember that at the middle there is the domain of disorder and confusion, where we don't know in which of the domains we are, and of course we want to get out of there as soon as possible, and these would be some of the approaches to get out there. And since I didn't mention about choosing like the right practice or an action to take forward, both in the complex and chaotic domains, we talk about emergent practices, that we cannot anymore take a chunk of historical data or performance and then just try to deterministically forecast that this is going to happen. But in when we want to understand emergent and novel practices, we want to, like I said before, we have to bake in the data collection, the data-driven decision, like to the decision making itself, so we can navigate forward. But anyways, like to summarize all this, I would just say that in this order, I mean, you could, for example, analyze data from a new business venture. So you identify patterns and trends that may indicate the most appropriate domain for this business venture or problem. You could, like, when you have a new product launch and you want to, in the same way, collect data, like basically bake in the data collection to the product launch, to the experimentations, and the feedback collection, and same thing going to new markets, same thing releasing new services or technologies. That's how basically, like I said, the nature of problem solving changes. Like it's no more deterministic, and it's sort of like more like how you take steps in sense making the situation. But yeah, this must have been quite a mouthful so far. So here are basically quite a deep dive on the 4 domains of Cynefin Framework, which data or AI approaches you could use in each. Maybe I'll just let me know in which areas you would like to maybe get deeper. Because, for example, the qualitative side of things I went through kind of fast. But anyways, just to conclude, and at the end, I just want to mention like what DIGICISU is, the framework I'm building on is made for. So we want to utilize, for example, Cynefin Framework, so we can accelerate insights-driven decision making. So we can improve organizational resilience, to be more future-proof, to anticipate the potential risks, mitigate risks, anticipate disruptions, and of course, like mentioned, like how we can reduce uncertainty and risk of decision making. And so basically directly related to applying Cynefin Framework, how I see the benefits. So I can help you if you have problems in making informed decisions in high uncertainty or complexity, if you lack resilience, if you've been facing or if you are going to face or have faced like some disruptive changes, I can help you get back on track and gain resilience and also agility to survive through those situations in the future. If you have a poor sustainability performance or resource efficiency, like I said, this can really help you see the systemic whole and how you can identify opportunities for sustainable performance. And as said, you can reap the benefits of innovations and identify strategies to exploit them faster. So if you consider you or your organization having weak innovation capabilities or market brand positioning, so that's it. And just, I'm not going to go through this in detail, but I have this service delivery model of starting from data to insights. So like said, collecting data. So basically, this may include all sorts of, depending on the context, depending on the problem, different approach. And basically, with focus on especially on the impact, I suggest what would be the data-driven objectives and KPIs to go forward. And this could include like new growth strategies, impact metrics, suggestions for improvements in your processes, and then we move to sense making and insights. So based on this, like a data to insights discovery, we determine your positioning of your, whether it's like a problem or decision making challenge or whatsoever, we sort of try to determine the positioning in the Cynefin framework, and based on that we prioritize the first actions or improvements that we want to take. And the benefits is that like we've taken these actions together and you understand how to go forward from that. And that's it, just first steps. I'm happy to, this is like a like I told you, this the framework I'm building, it's new and I'm collecting feedback for it. I'm gaining still insights on the problems, so I'm happy to have like chats on this anytime if I could help you with your problems. So, and I promise at the end of it, I'll promise to give you some data to insights or growth to impact focus suggestion to go forward. So yeah, that was quite a quite a package, but I hope you enjoyed and I hope you got something out of this. And since my whole channel is still in the very beginning, so I hope you like and subscribe. And if you have any suggestions or what you want to hear about in the future or improvements on this video or whatsoever, like please drop a comment and like. And yeah, see you again soon in the Elias World of Wonder.